Tariffs and trade wars have everybody sweating right now, understandably so. We're trying to figure out, what does all this mean? How is all this going to have an impact? What is that impact going to look like? If you're in the markets right now, you've probably seen some significant paper losses in your retirement accounts. I know I have. And when you're heading to the store, you're probably feeling it with pricing as well. I shared a post the other day on Facebook that I had to say no to a Dr. Pepper because it was almost $4 for a bottle of Dr. Pepper. I know. First world problems, but still, the struggle is real. I have read stories in the last week or so of people literally lining up to buy smartphones, electronics, TVs, computers, etc., furniture, clothing, all these different things ahead of potential tariffs coming into effect. They're hoping that that's going to save the money. They don't want to be impacted by a massively increased cost once tariffs come into effect. All of these things are very real. And all of these things are things that we're thinking about probably from a personal perspective right now, but maybe not necessarily from a voiceover perspective, although maybe some of you are. The question, though, is it actually impacting voiceover? A few weeks ago, I had J. Michael Collins come on the podcast. He's somebody that I completely trust and respect. And I think he's somebody who can definitely speak to some of these different issues for sure. And we did an entire episode at the beginning of March on tariffs and trade wars. And we also talked about trends for 2025, a bunch of different things. And I think even since that episode dropped, which was only just a few weeks ago, I think things have probably changed again. We could probably revisit that topic again and dive a little bit deeper into it. And though that episode is still completely relevant, I still think it's absolutely worth listening. I'll drop it in the show notes so you can go back and find it. But now here we are in mid April, and we're really in the thick of things. And I'm seeing more and more concern in the community as well. I'm seeing it through some of the conversations that I'm having on social media, but I'm also seeing it in conversations that I'm having with voice actors in coaching sessions who are trying to figure out what is going on. People are talking about the fact that things seem to have slowed down. They're talking about the fact that jobs have been getting put on hold. They're talking about the fact that they're not getting the same kind of responses that they've gotten in the past. And so all of this stuff is very real. It is what we are dealing with right now. It's what we are trying to navigate our way through. And because the subject has come up a lot, I've been thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about, what do we do? I've been thinking about, where do we go from here? I've been thinking about it from the perspective of a coach. How can I offer support, encouragement, good advice, insights, etc.? But I've also been thinking of it as a business owner. I'm a voice actor too. And I am out there marketing my voiceover business on a regular basis. I am out there having conversations with leads and prospects and clients on a regular basis. And so I'm thinking about how this is impacting or potentially going to impact my own voiceover business as well. And so I thought it would be a good time to share a few of the things that I'm leaning into right now. Things that I am doing to push through this season for however long this season lasts. And I think that's the other big question, is how long does this go on for? One thing that history tells us inevitably is that this too shall pass. In the early 2000s, with the dot-com bubble burst, it looked like the end, but we bounced back. In 2008, during the financial crisis, things got pretty bleak for a while for a lot of people, but ultimately we bounced back. In 2020, when a global pandemic literally shut down the world, most of us had never experienced anything even remotely close to that before. We didn't even have a frame of reference to draw from, but we bounced back. And I believe that we will bounce back again this time too. I genuinely believe that. I can't tell you how long it's going to take, but I believe we're going to bounce back. So, in the middle of all of that, what am I doing to stay sane, to stay focused, and to keep my business moving forward? There's a few different things that I'm leaning into. So, let's get into it. Number one is social media content. I can't even begin to tell you how many people I have muted on my social media in the past 6 or 8 weeks because I just don't need the negativity. There is so much negativity. And I understand. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that are making a lot of people uncomfortable, and I understand that. I feel a lot of that. I certainly have had some of those conversations with my wife and people that I trust, but I have enough stress in my life already without a never ending stream of complaints and rants and fear mongering in my social media feed. And I have to tell you, the one act alone of muting people from my social media feed, people who were not contributing anything productive or positive to my feed, it's been a huge relief. And it has been an anxiety reducer. Further to that, I will add, if social media is one of your marketing tools, and obviously I think that social media should be one of your marketing tools, what kind of marketing message are you putting forward if all you're doing right now is ranting about politics and spreading more rage or hate or fear or whatever it is? Now, look, it's your social media. You are entitled to share what you want to share. Absolutely. That's the beauty of free speech. But you have to understand that free speech does not mean speech without consequences. I will tell you straight up that I've stopped referring certain coaches for now because, in my estimation, they just seem really angry and bitter. And I can't say that I blame them for it. I understand they're not comfortable with things that are happening right now, but why would I want to recommend somebody to someone or refer them into that environment? If I was a voice buyer, I would certainly be thinking twice about hiring some of the voice actors whose social media feeds that have been just endless complaining and ranting and raging as well, because I don't want that association, or I wouldn't want that association with my business, because that potentially puts my business reputation at risk. If you need to get those things out of your system, I respect that and I relate to it. I have things that I need to get out of my system too, but you will never see me doing it on social media. I have my moments. I have things that I need to talk about. I have things that I need to vent, but I'm doing it in a different environment. I'm doing it in the privacy and safety of close friends and relationships so that it is not coming out publicly on social media. So it is not impacting how I may be perceived on social media. And I say that as a coach, and I also say that as a voice actor. I don't want to ever put myself in a situation where a brand looks at what I'm doing on social media, and trust me, they're looking, and they see things that they don't like, and they decide not to hire me for that reason. And to be clear, they're probably not going to come out and say, "We didn't hire you because of your social media." It's just gonna be the reason, and you're never gonna know. If you do choose to stay the course of being overtly political and sharing strong or controversial opinions, which again, absolutely you're right, but don't be surprised if that is part of the reason why you're not seeing as many opportunities right now. And if that's the reason why you're not putting as many leads and prospects into your CRM. If you're going to use social media as a marketing tool, which my personal opinion, obviously, is you should be using it as a marketing tool. Make sure that you're sharing content that adds value. Share content that informs, that educates, that entertains. Couldn't we all use a few laughs and smiles more than more stress and frustration at this point? I mean, look, the latest post that I shared was a picture of my 4-year-old laying down beside a brisket that I'm going to be smoking this weekend. And the caption is, "My brisket is half a boo long." Like, that's what we need more of right now on social media. I don't need more politics. I don't need more financial markets. I don't need more doom and gloom and fear and rage. I need smiles, and I need laughter, and I need things that are going to help me. I need things that are going to help me to navigate this in a productive way. So that's number 1. I'm really being careful about how I'm approaching social media right now. Although I think I'm always careful, but I can't even begin to tell you how many posts have been written and deleted in the last 6 or 8 weeks because I type them out and then I think, this is a really bad idea and you should not say this. And I stop myself before it's too late. And maybe you just need to think about whether or not you need to do the same thing. Do you need to stop yourself before it's too late? So that's number 1. I'm being really cautious about how I'm approaching social media right now. Number 2 is that I am continuing to keep in contact. When times get tough and work feels lean, often our instinct is to back off. We need to give our clients and we need to give our prospects some breathing room. Let them come back to us when they're ready. We don't want to be annoying. We don't want to come across as pushy. We don't want to be insensitive. We want to be respectful of what is going on in the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People are stressed. Companies are absolutely trying to navigate this economic environment. How are tariffs going to impact them? Will tariffs actually impact them? They've got enough on their plate. The last thing that they need right now is another voice actor in their inbox, right? Not so fast. Let me play devil's advocate. What if some of your clients are trying to figure out what's going on? They're trying to understand all of these different things and how it may or may not impact them or their business. And so maybe they're trying to research and maybe they're trying to learn and maybe they're trying to understand. So, what if you checking in on them just to see how they're doing is actually a welcome distraction? What if it's a friendly voice to break up the stress and the uncertainty? What if it's a sounding board to bounce ideas off of? What if you reaching out reminds them that you're there? And that's one less thing now that they need to be thinking about. Or what if it's business as usual for them? Maybe they actually haven't been impacted by everything that's going on. And it's great to have a voice actor top of mind to narrate a new project that they just booked with a new client this week. One of the things that we are really good at, and sometimes it feels like this is exclusive to the voiceover industry, but I think it's just human nature in general. Negativity bias, it's very real. Look it up. But we always seem to navigate to negative narratives first. Our brain, by default, instinctively goes to negative narratives and negative outcomes, and we let those stories become our truth and our reality, whether or not they actually are. And then we let them paralyze us from taking action. It is business as usual for Marc Scott voiceover. I want my clients to know that I am always here. I want them to know that I am always ready. I want them to know that whatever they need, I am ready to deliver whenever they need. So I continue to contact new leads on a regular basis. I continue to send my follow ups on a regular basis. I continue to be present on social media on a regular basis. I continue to check in on a regular basis. Nobody's pushing back on that right now. If you are of the mindset or the mentality that you just want to respect their space right now and you're worried that maybe times are tough for them and so you'll just let them come back to you when they're ready, just know that there are people like me who are out there who are eating your lunch right now. No offense, don't take it the wrong way, but because I am still maintaining communication when the opportunities do arise, the voice actors who are continuing to maintain communication are the ones that are going to get those opportunities. And if your strategy is to hold back and wait, just know that it's probably costing you opportunities. So for me and my voiceover business, it is absolutely business as usual. Third thing that I'm leaning into right now is I'm trying to be more strategic and targeted. So, in some senses, it feels like no sector is safe from everything that is going on right now. It feels like tariffs are just impacting everything across the board, and that their impact on the economy is universal. It's across the board. And so it can make it really hard for us to try to think to be targeted or to try to think to be strategic. But that said, I do think there are a few areas that are probably a little bit more insulated than others. And so those are the areas that I'm leaning into right now. One of them is e learning. Education still needs to happen. And in fact, in some cases, it may need to happen more. I mean, think about this. If you're a company selling widgets, and those widgets are going to be impacted by tariffs, perhaps you need a whole new set of sales training so that you can prep your sales reps for selling in this new environment and under these new circumstances. Educating your clients on how tariffs are going to impact pricing structure, what that's going to look like, how much the company's going to eat, how much is going to get passed along, et cetera, et cetera. These things are real and these things are happening. I'm also thinking a lot about service providers versus providers of goods, the makers of widgets. Services are not impacted by tariffs, at least not yet, at least not directly. Knock on wood. But services are less likely to be feeling the impact. They are less likely to be negatively impacted. And so service providers will probably still be creating commercials and video content and e-learning and all of those sorts of things. And so for this, be thinking about who the service providers are. We're talking about things like doctors and lawyers and software companies and cybersecurity and digital services, et cetera. So they're not specifically making widgets because services aren't impacted. Healthcare and pharma is another area that I think is potentially safe right now. Now, granted, this is not an area that I work in a ton, but I do see these auditions, and I have not seen a slowdown in any of these auditions. Now, currently, there are some rumors of pharma tariffs. Those are out there swirling around. But if medical narration is a genre that you work in, or it's a genre that you want to work in, it's a genre that might be worth a little bit more extra marketing effort right now. Automotive seems like it is going to be deeply impacted by tariffs. And I think that's something that we can all see very clearly with some of the stuff that is going on right now. But at least on the short term, that might actually open up some opportunities because you may have dealers and manufacturers who are trying to unload existing inventory through special sales, special promotions, and working to educate and inform clients about tariffs and the impact that they're going to have. And so there may be some opportunities there. And I think by and large, corporate narration is still a safe genre, and it's a genre that I continue to target with great intent. If nothing else, companies may be more likely to create internal videos to, what do we say, rally the troops, so to speak. Um, they're also more likely to share forward facing videos to help customers and clients navigate these times and share those reassuring messages. And so, one of the ways that you navigate this is by being a little bit more strategic and targeted with the people that you're reaching out to. And those are some of the genres that I am looking at and leaning into. Here's something that you may not have thought about, but I think it's something you should think about spending on marketing. When the economy gets tight, marketing budgets are often the first to be slashed. And so, at first glance, that seems like bad news for voice actors. If marketing budgets are getting slashed, that means there's fewer commercials being created, fewer web videos being created, right? Fewer promo videos, fewer opportunities all around. But here's the other side of that coin. As businesses pull back on paid advertising, demand drops. And when demand for advertising drops, the cost for advertising drops. And that's just basic supply and demand economics. And so, on one hand, you're thinking $100 spent on a LinkedIn ad or a Google ad or a Facebook or Instagram ad, it's still $100, right? Well, yes and no, because right now that $100 will probably go further because the cost per click goes down when there is more supply than there is demand. So your reach actually goes up and your dollar actually stretches further. And so if you've ever thought about spending a little bit of money on some of these platforms, and to be clear, I have done paid advertising on different platforms in the past and I have seen results, particularly on LinkedIn. If you've ever thought maybe about dipping your toe in those waters, now might be the time to do it because your dollar value that you spend may actually go further because the cost for click or the amount that you pay to reach is actually going down. So it's Warren Buffett says to be greedy when others are being fearful. This might be one of those times where that's actually really good advice. When others pull back, this might be the time for you to lean in. So that's something that I'm looking at and probably going to be running some campaigns, I think probably on LinkedIn. What about an infrastructure checkup? This is something else that I'm leaning into. When's the last time you audited your online casting profiles? Went through all of the demos, checked all of your keywords, looked through the about or the biography that you've put in there. Is everything relevant? Is everything current? Is everything up to date? Does it reflect your latest clients, et cetera, et cetera? When's the last time you went through your website page by page? Um, I actually had somebody, thank you, Peter, reach out to me the other day to point out a problem on my website because it had been a minute since I had gone through all the different pages on my website. And so now I'm in the process of getting that addressed. When is the last time that you went through your website page by page and actually checked to make sure is all of the content that is there up to date? Do you have your latest testimonials? Do you have your latest demos? Do you have your latest samples? Have you updated your portfolio page? Are there any new projects that you want to share? Are all of your social media links working? Have you changed any of your social media? There's a lot of voice actors who had links to their X profiles or formerly Twitter profiles on their websites. Now they're not using Twitter anymore because they've moved to Threads or they've moved to Blue Sky. Does your website reflect that? Can I get to your Threads or your Blue Sky account from your website, or is it still linking to your old Twitter account? So when's the last time you went through your web page or your website page by page? Are all the contact records in your CRM up to date? Have they all been categorized? Are they sorted by genre? Do you know if they're leads, prospects, clients? Do you know where they are in your touch cycles? Are you current with everybody? Have you read through your email sequences lately? You know, we write these email sequences if you're using Nimble, for example, or there's other CRMs that allow you to do this, but you write the email sequence, and it might have been 6 months ago that you wrote that email sequence, and maybe you've never looked at it since. Does it need to be updated? Does it need to be changed? Are there any problems with that sequence? Are your demos reflective of the times? We're talking tone, we're talking brands, we're talking styles. Do they reflect the reads and what's booking today? Is it time to maybe update or refresh one of those? Have you checked your social media profile bios lately? Is everything there still current? Are you giving the right links? Are you saying the right things? Did you go to VO Atlanta and get headshots, which a lot of people did? They went to VO Atlanta, they got headshots from the booth at VO Atlanta. Have you now taken those headshots and updated them across all the different places where you exist online? Your online casting profiles have headshots. Your social media profiles have headshots. Your headshots are on your website. So, all of those different accounts that you have that are out there where your picture is, are you remembering to update it and make sure that everything is current? When things slow down a bit, you can panic. And a lot of voice actors do. And it is an option. Or you can take the time as a gift to do all of those thousand seemingly small and menial tasks that are on your list, but just keep getting bumped from month to month to month to month. Individually, they don't feel like they matter in the grand scheme of things, but collectively, when you get all of those things addressed, it can make a big impact on your business and how it is both presented and perceived online and how it runs internally behind the scenes. So it is time to think and operate like a VOpreneur. Audit every aspect of your voiceover business. Things that sometimes we forget about or things that we sometimes take for granted. Make sure you are putting your best foot forward everywhere. And then finally, focus on what you can control. This is probably the most important piece of advice. And I have given this out in so many coaching sessions. And I sit down and I remind myself of this conversation with myself on a darn near daily basis right now. Focus on what you can control. I cannot control the economy. I can't control tariffs. I can't control trade wars. I can't control the decisions of any government. I can't control the current political climate. I can't control the stock market, although I wish I could. I can't control the dollar. I can't control the budgets of the companies that I work with or that I want to work with. I can't control ad spend. I can't control how bad the Red Sox are this year. Most days I can't control my children either, but that's another story for another episode. The point is, there are a lot of things that are outside of my control. And sometimes those are the things that we give the most brain capacity to. And this is where stress and anxiety comes from because we're worrying about things that we do not have the ability to change. And because it's all out of our control, we feel helpless and we fall down this really dark rabbit hole. So, what I actually need to remind myself of is to think about the things that are inside of my control. I can control my thoughts. I can control my time as much as one can with 4 daughters running around the house. I can absolutely control where I direct my efforts. I can control how many emails I send. I can control how many leads I contact. I can control how many posts I share on social media. I can control how many auditions I submit in a given day and how quickly I submit them. I can control my attitude. If you take nothing else away from this short episode, please take this. Devoting time and effort and attention and energy to things that you can't control is not going to help you move forward in your business. And it is not going to change those things that are outside of your control. It is only going to cause you stress, anxiety, frustration, and tension. Focus on what you can control and direct your efforts there. You are going to be way, way more happy for starters. You're probably going to be more relaxed. You're probably going to be less prone to the day to day swings in the chaos of the world right now. So, watch your inputs. What are you reading? What are you watching? Where you scroll. These things matter. Watch your inputs. Spend time with positive people. Maybe that's in a mastermind group. Maybe that's an accountability group of some form or fashion. Maybe you've got a couple of trusted friends or colleagues that you can lean into. Certainly, leaning into your family, your spouse, your significant other. Spending time with positive people, talking about things that don't have anything to do with some of the things that are outside of your control. And to be clear, that doesn't mean that we are oblivious. It doesn't mean that we ignore it. It means that we don't get consumed by it. Take breaks, step away from the news. I have done it many times. Go for a walk, listen to music that makes you feel happy, that gets your spirits up, that changes your state. Spend time doing pretty much anything other than the things that are going to cause you stress and worry. Your mindset is your engine. Keep it fueled and keep it clean.